welcome to Improv Pathways Lesson 2. Let's talk about the vocabulary. The first word there is the octave. Now an octave is a note that is the 8th scale tone above or below a given note, and it has the same name. For example, you can play a C on the trumpet. If you play up the scale now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, the 8th note is also called C. So we have a low C and a high C, different octaves. So that the 8th note of the scale can also be called 1. We can start over again with 1. So we might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5. So whenever we're talking about scale tone 1 and we go lower than that, we call the next note below it the 7th note of the scale, even though it's below 1. Does that make sense? A quick insider tip, real jazz musicians actually do go above 8 sometimes. We talk about the 9th of the chord, which is the same as the 2nd note of the scale, up an octave. Or we might talk about the sharp 11th, which is the 4th note, or the sharp 4th note of the scale, up an octave. Okay, but to keep things simple here, we are going to go up to 8, and then 8 is the same as 1, and then we'll change that to 1 if we go higher. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. And like so. Now what is the flat 7? Well, the flat 7 is the lowered or flatted 7th tone of a scale. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we take that note and make it flat, or we flatten it. Now it doesn't mean that that's going to be called a flat. For example, in alto sax, the 7th note of the G major scale is F sharp. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. So we're going to flat that and make it an F natural. Okay, the note is a half step lower. It's not necessarily called a flat, but we still call it the flat 7th. Now in trombone, that note is called a flat. The A natural becomes an A flat when we do a flat 7. On trumpet, the B becomes a B flat. Okay, so the flat 7 sounds like this. Okay, if I play the high octave, it goes low octave. So I'd like to give you all a minute to practice playing 8, 7, flat 7, or 1, 7, flat 7. Go for it. Okay, that should be enough time. So the last vocabulary in lesson 2 is transcribing. Now to transcribe, it means that you listen to something, you listen to music, and then you write it down on paper, which is also called notating what you hear. Now, you don't have to write it down to transcribe it. Some people will use the word transcribe to just mean that you learn to, and you memorize, you learn to play a piece of music by ear. That can also be called transcribing, to learn to learn something that you hear and learn to play it on your instrument. But officially, it means you're going to write it down in some way. And we're going to do some transcribing in a few minutes. So let's jump into patterns level 2. We're going to add one more note here, and it's going to be the flat 7. Let's take a minute to look at the at-a-glance fingering charts for these 4 notes. They look like this for each instrument. And if this confuses you at all, then you should probably go back and watch lesson 1 and watch my descriptions about how to do these patterns, okay? So here's the 4 notes. Let me play them for you. Go ahead and try them up and down a few times. Okay, now here you go with patterns level 2. Now don't forget to listen first. Here we go.
Da 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 do da 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 do da
da da da do da 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 do da.
da 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 do ah da 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 do ah
Da da
da da da do da. Da do da 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 do da.
Last chance. All right, now let's jump into our second strategy for how to improvise a solo, how to build a solo, and that is rhythmic playing. Let me just give you an overview of what we're going to do here. First, you're going to use just scale tone 1 to echo the sentences that you hear. So you're just going to repeat what you hear with the voice, except you're going to play it on your instrument. So get ready to play that in just scale tone 1. And then in a little bit, you'll use scale tones 2 and 3. And then you're going to go and use all 4 the scale tones from patterns level 2 to have a conversation with someone. So first you're going to go through this exercise with me, and then if you are in a class, I'll give you a chance to have a conversation with someone else sitting near you. Improvising pathway 2, rhythmic playing. If we break words down into their syllables, we realize that we speak very rhythmically. For example, one word, improvisation, is really improvisation, or on your instrument. To create a good solo that sounds interesting and natural, it's important to play very rhythmically. So let's use scale tone 1, and you're going to echo these sentences. For example, I'll say, talking is very rhythmic, and you'll play. Okay, shall we go? Talking is very rhythmic. Most people don't realize that when they speak, some of the words come out very quickly. If we can learn to play our instruments like that, then we'll sound exciting and expressive. Now let's use scale tones 2 and 3 to echo these statements. For example, I might say, now we're using 2 different scale tones. Ready to go? The first sentence is, now we're using 2 different scale tones to play our instruments as if we are speaking. You don't need to use a lot of different scale tones to sound interesting, as long as you play rhythmically. Now let's use scale tones flat 7, 1, 2, and 3 to have a conversation. Ready to go? This ends improvising pathway 2. So if you are in a band class right now, you can pause this video and take a few minutes to have actual conversations with each other using those 4 notes. So now we're going to go to the bottom of the page and we're going to do our first transcribing exercise. Now here you're not going to actually figure out what the notes are, you're just going to figure out what the right order is for some phrases that have already been transcribed, okay? So turn to the back of the book approximately to page 34. And your book will be on page 34, and you're going to find Transcribing Worksheet 1. So you're going to listen to this solo by a tenor sax player and try to figure out which phrase is first, which phrase is second, third, and fourth, so you can start connecting what you hear with what you see on a page. Are you ready to hear it for the first time? Here we go. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Can you tell which of the phrases that was? Was it the first, second, or third, or fourth phrase? Let's listen again. Yeah, if you could tell, that went 3, 5, 4, 1, flat 7, 1, 3. Could you tell? Okay, so that was the third phrase here on this page. So next to that third phrase, you're going to put a 1 because we played that one first. Okay. Now, why don't you try to play it with me? Yeah, get your instruments up. Try to play that phrase with me. 1, 2. Here we go. Ref. You may not sound quite as good as that tenor sax player or me, but you'll get there. All right, let's listen to it again from the beginning. Here we go. Okay, good. What's next? Yeah. Could you tell which one that was? 1, 3, 2. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-da-da. I hope you got it. That was the first phrase on the top of the page. So we now have the third one down here is played first, and the top one is played second. All right, what's next? And we're going to keep going. All right, so compare your answers to these answers here and see if you got it right. Let's listen to the whole thing now again from the beginning, and then we're going to try playing it a couple times. Here we go. Listen to this. Okay, going to the top now. Now going to the bottom here. 3. And here's the second one up. All right. Now check out that second phrase down from the top. It starts with a lot of fast notes. I'm not a great trumpet player, but I can play that pretty well, okay? Can you do it? Try it a couple times. Okay? Now let's try that whole second phrase down, which is played last. Let's try that. Listen to me first. Riff. Why don't you try it with me? 2, 3, and rest. All right, how'd it go? Okay, let's go ahead and try playing along with the whole solo just one time for now. However, you can always go back on your own and practice this some more. It's on CD 1, track 6. Okay, I'm going to try to cue you into this. Are you ready? 1, 2, here we go. And here you go. Last one. Yeah, he adds a couple extra notes at the end there. I love that. I love listening to great music, great jazz, great solos, and learning to play them myself. And often you'll hear an idea, you'll hear someone playing something, and you'll say, "Whoa, that sounds awesome! How does he do that?" And so you'll listen to it a bunch of times, and sometimes you have to play it like an octave lower, because sometimes the person plays really high and you can't quite get that note, so you have to play an octave lower, you know. But if you can figure out what that is and you can play it yourself, like, say I really like this. Yeah, so I learned to play it, you know. I just transcribed that lick off of someone else. So on the bottom of lesson 2, you'll see a list of some of the greatest all-time jazz players on your instrument. So your assignment now is to go find some recordings of those people, some videos or some audio recordings. There's lots of different places to go online to find these things. Find some recordings and listen. Start listening. Start hearing what you should sound like on your instrument compared to these great jazz players. You can do this.
Oh, I forgot to mention something important. There are 6 solos in this jazz method, Improv Pathways, that are ready for you to transcribe now. 6 on each instrument. So there's 6 trombone solos and 6 trumpet, 6 saxophone. We got piano, we got drum set and vibes, half of each, and bass and guitar. So you can check those out on CD 2, tracks 28 to 33.
You can start learning to sound like these great jazz players now. Why wait? Why wait till you're older? Do it now. That's it for lesson 2. I hope you come back soon and check out lesson 3.